Hello, hello, hello. How are you? I am Anya Homer, the baby reflux lady, and today we are talking about the question of why is my baby waking up in pain? Or indeed, is your baby waking up in pain? And if so, what can you do about it and why? So, first of all, we need to understand, is your baby actually waking up in pain? And for this, I can't answer it yes or no. I'm going to refer 100% to you because as your baby's parent, you are in the perfect position to judge whether it's pain or discomfort or just simply comfort. Let me know, do any of you think that your child is waking up in pain? And if you think it's pain or discomfort, what is giving you that idea? Like, why do you believe that it is discomfort or pain? Because I firmly believe that when we start to trust ourselves as parents, we can start to understand a lot more about our children. Every single one of us spoke baby fluently. Might have been some time ago, but we did actually speak baby fluently. We've always had the ability to communicate with our children. Just because our children don't use words and don't speak English or Spanish or Irish or whatever the language of your choice doesn't mean they're not communicating with us. And for many of you, you might be familiar, and let me know if you are, with the high-pitched scream that could wake the dead. This is typically a scream that every parent of a baby with reflux, or most of us anyway, will have experienced. And it's the one where even if you're a first-time parent, you kind of go, that can't be normal. That absolutely can't be normal. I firmly believe that a high-pitched scream comes from pain and discomfort. It's not your normal whimpering, going, are you there, mommy? Are you there, daddy? It's a, please, somebody help me. It's a scream for pain. Let me know. Has your baby ever done that? Is that a scream or a cry that it's touching you deep inside, that you need to do something for your child. They are asking for help. And we need to understand, I'm getting some yeses. It's really hard to listen to that, and it's really hard to hear that. And my heart breaks every time I reflect back on my own parenting journey and to be holding my child as close as possible and to be rocking her and doing everything I can to reassure that I was there, and knowing that in that moment there was nothing I could do because I had tried everything. Like everything that ever occurred to mankind, I had tried in that moment to ease her pain, to understand what was going on. And I felt clueless, I felt useless, and I felt helpless. And all I could do was comfort her and let her know that I was there. And sometimes that is the right first step. Because especially in infancy, in this first year of life, our children's greatest need is this need to learn security and safety. And sometimes all we can do is hold them and comfort them, reassure them that we are there, that we acknowledge what's going on for them rather than ignoring them. We acknowledge their experience as being one that appears to be traumatic. And that is the first step. Acknowledgement is the first step. What we need to do is then understand, why is it happening? This comes back to that age-old thing that I keep discussing. Why is any child suffering? What's going on for them? When we understand that, then we can address it at the root cause. Usually when your baby wakes up, it's too late to address the root cause of it by the time they're awake. Okay, so we've got two general, this is general, doesn't apply to every child, two general things going on with reflux. We have pain that comes up into the esophagus from regurgitated stomach acid and stomach content in milk, etc. This sometimes, very often, has stomach acid in it. The word acid is important because it's acidic. It's not supposed to be in the esophagus. If any of you have ever been so sick, you know, the time when, you know, you've been so ill, you vomited so much that there's now nothing left in your stomach, but your stomach still retches and gets stuff out. And you get that horrible stomach acid feeling in your esophagus. It's very unpleasant and it actually burns here. Our bodies are able to cope with that momentarily in small amounts. However, for that to be happening multiple times a day or night on a constant daily, weekly, monthly basis, that erodes the lining of the esophagus, which means it is causing pain. It's causing physical damage in some babies, not every child. It's the same. So we need to tailor what's going on for every single child. But that does cause pain. And one of the main ways a child has to communicate is to say, ah, this hurts. They shout loudly, they scream loudly, they cry loudly. To address that underlying reflux pain, what we need to do is stop the regurgitation from happening. And that isn't by putting medication in to stop the stomach working as it's supposed to work. Okay, medication plays an important role in this sort of reflux to adjust the stomach acidity so that when the regurgitation happens, and medications do not directly prevent reflux or regurgitation from happening, they change the stomach acid so that when it does happen, it's not damaging the esophagus and triggering pain. That doesn't always happen in all children, but that is the intention behind the PPI and the H2RA medications. Does that make sense? Gaviscon is designed to create a raft on top of the stomach so that the stomach contents don't come up at all. Again, it doesn't always work. Does this make sense? Is this conversation making sense? Please let me know, because I know there's people watching. The other thing that can be happening with babies is we get this digestive system discomfort and pain. That's at the other end of, it's on the other side. It's in the intestines, it's in the gut. And we get buildup of gas, we get buildup of air. We can even get damage to the gut as well here, caused by irritants or allergens or excess gas. Like wind builds up in a baby's intestines. And we have these stretch receptors around our gut. So if you imagine, I kind of need pens and drawings for this, but I don't have it today. The gut is a pipe. Okay, it's a pipe, it's a tube from one end to the other, and it's bigger in some places and smaller in the other. When we get to the gut, it is a tube. The small intestine now here is the longest one, it's about 3.5 meters in infants. When children have their first meal, it passes through, not their first meal of the day, let's say, it's passing through this tube as a group of food. Then they might take on some air. They might swallow air. They might cry. They'll inhale air. There might be air with their meal as well, which might have risen to the top of the stomach. Then a few hours later, we get another meal coming in. So we have a pipe. We've got one meal at one end, and we've got another meal coming in behind it. Okay, and we've got this air in the middle. Is this making sense? I know you should be able to draw this. I should have my markers with me. What we get is the compression in the digestive system pushes one meal to meet the next one. But if there's air in there, that air gets compressed. Okay. And when it gets compressed, what happens is the gut goes from being narrow and long to being short and fat. Okay. So we get these it literally stretches out to contain that air within it. And sometimes these stretch receptors trigger pain. I don't know if any of you have ever been bloated to the point of discomfort. I used to get it when I would literally eat everything around me on Christmas Day. And then by the afternoon, I'm kind of laid out on the couch, stretched. I can't even bend in the middle anymore because I've put so much food into my system. It's like, that's full, that's not comfortable, because the stretch receptors are going, now we're stretched to the point, it's too much. Sometimes that air comes from air baby is drinking or swallowing or consuming in some way, shape, or form. It can also come from the medications. It can also come from some of the foods or ingredients in their milks or ingredients in what mom's eating if she's breastfeeding. All of these things can contribute to air in the gut, and this can build up, especially at nighttime, and disrupt babies. If a child is uncomfortable, they're not able to stitch together their sleep cycles. So when they come back out of a sleep cycle, they're uncomfortable. Their body's like, no, I need help here. I need help. So they wake up and they tell you, I need help. I found with my daughters, when they had dairy, their screams were unbelievably loud. When we left out dairy, it didn't completely clear their system at all. However, it meant their wake up time wasn't screaming painful. It was discomfort. It was a different level, and it took less time to ease it. The dairy pain was massive, massive pain for my girls, for both of them. And I recognized it in the second one. What we need to do is understand exactly what is going on for any particular child. So somebody's asking on Instagram, how long after feed is the pain coming up? Again, this will depend on the underlying cause. If it is a regurgitation pain, that could be during the feed. Okay, babies can regurgitate while they're trying to swallow. It could be straight after the feed if they're bringing up food. It could be a few hours after their feed. It could be any time that this pain gets triggered. Typically, it will be more painful the longer it is after the feed, because there's more acid has been mixed with the milk or with the food. However, that's not strictly true, because it depends on if there's any erosive esophagitis and any damage to the esophagus happening as well. Okay, my daughter, when she was on solids, I thought she was asking for more. Turns out the particular food she was having at the time and her excitement for more was actually asking to ease pain, because the food she was eating was irritating her esophagus even more, but gave momentary ease of pain. So she'd ask for more, but the moment it would go past, it would then sting again. It should be crazy. And yeah, it was an insight that I didn't get for about 4 weeks of this recurrent pain happening for her every single time she ate apple. The pain, if it's gut pain, could be hours after babies have eaten. It could be 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours. How long is food in the gut? Because as long as an irritant is in the gut, it's going to be causing discomfort. It's going to be causing some sort of trigger, and those triggers are going to be different, or can be different, for every child. So this is where we need to understand and address that underlying root cause. If it's food related and we eliminate that food from that child's diet, then very quickly we're going to see very, very fast results. This is the stuff we do with both the breastfeeding masterclass for parents who are chest feeding, and what we do in the weaning workshop, weaning course, actually in the solids course, for when babies are already on solids. If you're wondering what formula to choose for your baby, that's in the workshop, because sometimes it's the formula itself and ingredients within the formula that trigger this pain, this irritation, all of these things. Somebody's asking the solution for crying and discomfort when laying down. Again, we need to understand what is the underlying cause. It's very difficult to know how to stop a baby crying in that moment. If they're in pain, we don't want to resolve the pain. Resolving the pain and addressing that will invariably allow them to be more comfortable. Sometimes it's not possible to do that in the very, very moment. And believe me, I know what that's like, because I was there with my children, and I wasn't here in this form to help me and my children. And there wasn't anybody like me that I found to support me either. We had to grin and bear it. We had no other choice. So why does it come more at nighttime? It usually comes more at nighttime. It's a great question, because as babies are less active at nighttime, even the smallest of infants are less active at nighttime. If we think about it, what happens during the day is, as parents, we're lifting babies up, we're moving them about. When they move, when they bend in their tummies, they're getting constant digestive massage, even if it's gentle. And that gentle digestive massage helps to move stuff through their gut. However, when they're not at nighttime, they get lifted less. we want to be quiet. Everything wants to be calmer. So there's no gentle external massage happening for babies and for their guts to help air, food and stuff move through the gut. And so it builds up. And so these pain receptors and the stretch receptors in the gut get triggered even more. Let me know, does that answer your question? So I'm just going to have no other questions coming in. What we need to do is address the underlying cause. Because first of all, with this question, trust yourself. If you think your baby's in pain, you're probably right. You know your child better than anybody else. You know them better than I do. I don't know your child at all. You know them better than your doctor. You know them better than your health visitor. You know them better than everybody else because you live with them all day, all night, every day, and every night. So please, the first thing to do is start trusting yourself. And if you get somebody telling you something that doesn't agree with you, or, it just doesn't sit right with you, trust yourself. Ask more questions, ask different questions, ask better questions, ask different people. There are always answers to be had. So if your baby's not yet on food of any sorts, the Reflux Free Baby Workshop is the place to start to understand what could be causing this pain and therefore what can address it. Millie, you've got an 8-month-old in chronic wind at night, can't pinpoint the cause. That is highly likely going to be food related. Okay, it's highly likely food related. If they're on solids, I'm assuming, Millie, that they're on solids already. If they're on solids and it's established like 3 meals a day, then I would go to the solids workshop. Again, the links are all in my bio for this. There's even a free webinar. Watch the free webinar. You'll get the information about why this is going on, what's the digestive maturity thing, and the course, the Reflux Free Baby Solids course, changes the foods they're eating, and I promise within 2 or 3 days you will start to see a difference. Okay, especially if it's gotten worse at night. Lisa's saying you've had lip and tongue tie done and off dairy, still bad wind and reflux, don't know what else to do, because it's probably not, you haven't addressed the underlying cause yet, Lisa. Everybody is so married to this belief that it's dairy. It's not always dairy. It's so not always dairy. The majority of children, dairy is the big, has a name, CMPA thing. The majority of children cannot digest complex carbohydrates. So it's something in their milk, it's something in their food. This is where my approach to weaning is completely different. I've taken this body of evidence, body of work that was developed in the 1980s, all about the infant's digestive system and how it matures. I'll share a picture in my Instagram stories today. This image it's a cartoon drawing that shows you the different digestive elements. My approach to weaning and approach to solids is to give babies foods their body is naturally able to digest at the age they're at. And then as their body matures and produces more digestive enzymes, then we introduce foods that they are now able to digest. So that's what we need to do, Lisa. It's not necessarily the dairy. If it's bad wind, it could be air they're drinking, but it could be something in their diet, in their formula milk, in their food, or in the food that mom is eating as well. Aya, does inclined pillows help with reflux? I don't recommend inclined pillows at all because they're not recommended by the safe sleeping practice. If we address the underlying cause of reflux, your baby should be able to lie down. How would you feel as a parent if you fundamentally were not able to lie down flat? It's normal for us to be able to lie down flat. In fact, we should be able to stand on our heads, be upside down, and things still stay in our stomach. So it's not about finding the tools. The tools are not outside of you. If we address what's going on for your child, you can then start to have a normal life and they can have a normal life too. Another one, I'll do one more or two, but it depends if they're relevant for here. My baby was dealing with reflux, always grunting, crying, and feeds. Finally got him on a formula that works, lansoprazole, he's doing much better, but wakes up. Yeah, so again, you need to address what is the underlying cause of the reflux before the lansoprazole. It might have been the formula change. If it is, absolutely amazing. They need to be not bringing up milk, and then work with your doctor to get the weaning plan from the lansoprazole. Toddler still wakes for the night, trapped wind, could be due to dairy. Joe, it could be due to dairy, but it could be due to anything else in their diet. Okay, I would recommend the solids course. If it's waking with trapped wind at night, it's not going to be just dairy. It's unlikely to be dairy. It's not a dairy allergy. You can leave dairy out, but you might not see any changes. The solids course will have the changes for you. Do I offer a course to help 15-month-old Katrina? Yes, really bad reflux for 12 months. Doesn't have reflux now, but still has much stomach pain, lots of gassy, mushy stools. Katrina, absolutely. That's the solids course. Find the link in my bio on the solids course. That's exactly the one that's going to help you. Millie, you're off dairies, 5 weeks on Neocate, and you've restricted the diet. Again, it depends. I don't know what's going on. Is it a restricted diet from, scroll back up, see if I can find, 8-month-old? Yeah, so it depends on how the diet is restricted. If you're following one of my protocols, then I can talk you through that on another stage. Go in and ask questions in the Q&A call for the clients. If you haven't followed my protocol from restriction, because it's not the top 10 allergens. It's not about the allergens at all for most babies. It's rarely about the allergens, actually. If we're removing allergens, then we might not be restricting the right foods, if that makes sense. 2 to 3 a.m. every night still wakes. We feed him and he goes right back to sleep. Could be he's just hungry and wake up. It's not reflux related. It could be. It could those. And this is where your understanding of why your baby is waking is important. It could be that there's regurgitation happening and they're waking up in pain or discomfort, and the suckling and the feeding resolves that because it washes acid back down into the stomach. It could be that they're waking up with wind and feeding helps because babies know that when they suckle and drink something up here, they stimulate the entire digestive system and it moves stuff through to the other end. And it might not be reflux related at all. It could be that he's hungry. It could be comfort. It could be any reason like that. So we need to understand what is going on. Trust yourselves. 4-month-old, really. So, Millie, great, cool. So Martha, 4-month-old really struggles to sleep on her back at night, or his back. Will only sleep on me or have to hold for an hour to put down for an hour and then wakes again, claws at the back of head and thrashes around. Again, Martha, there is going to be much more to understand what is going on. I would suggest that the not able to sleep on the back, the workshop is going to be the place. You need to understand what is going on. There's going to be symptoms, signs, behaviors, patterns going on during the day that influence the night. You know, nothing happens on its own. What happens in the moment is a result of what has happened in the 10, 12, 14, 16, 24 hours before. So we need to address it before it becomes a problem. Millie, you've got the book. Yay! You'll have answers in that as well. The winning course is much more quicker. And then Anna, how are you doing? You bought the workshop the other day. Currently going through it. Little girls, 4 months old, in the past week start waking at night most hours. Before this, you used to be just horrendous through the day. It could be getting worse. Ensure if it's 4 months sleep regression. Again, Anna, it's impossible to say whether it is a sleep regression or reflux. However, I will say that if there's reflux present, it's going to make things worse than it otherwise would have been. So go through the course, focus on the content in the course and working with underlying causes, and then you will see what's left over being sleep regression. Does that make sense, Anna? Some signs of food allergy, Katrina, there's a whole list, but we're looking at skin irritation, mucus, in stools. And what I need to say about these is it's not always these, okay? We need to look for more than one sign because everything has more than one reason. Like, for example, diarrhea can be a sign of an allergen or an intolerance, okay? An allergen. However, diarrhea also happens with illness, okay? We've got respiratory congestion. That can happen with allergies, but it can also happen with reflux, and it can also happen with a cold. So we need to understand and look at the whole picture and everything that's going on. Mucus in the nappy, that could be an allergen or an intolerance, but it could also be teething. Green poo could be an allergy or an intolerance. could also be too much lactose and too much foremilk as a result of a poor latch. In a breastfed baby, it could also be an amino acid milk reaction. Not even a reaction, but just the poo color from an amino acid milk. So there's lots of different things. Skin irritations, hives, eczema, those sort of things are generally, I say, but not always, allergy type related things. Marine, baby was aching at 3 a.m. screaming after tossing 48 times plus in one night. Brought him to the Cairo, slept until 6:30 a.m. working on resolving the cause of tensions, but in the meantime, this says us. Absolutely, Marine. Yeah, body work can be incredible when it relieves tension. We need to understand what's the underlying cause of tension. Sometimes the chiropractor can address the underlying cause, sometimes they can't. And Katrina, your son always gets mucus and stool and diarrhea after egg, which is why I thought it might have egg allergy. Should have get him tested. But, I'm going to do stuff on this all before, because this isn't related to this particular one. But no, I don't recommend. In short, I don't recommend getting tests done because they're quite invasive. And depending on what tests you get, if you get them on the public health system, they are 50% accurate, which means 50% of the time you'll get the right answer, 50% of the time you'll get the wrong answer, and you can't tell the difference. So I'm going to end on that bombshell. If anybody wants more information, please tag us, please comment, just DM us for any of the links or visit our bio. We will do that for you and we will post the links down there. So below the videos. All right, I am back on Wednesday this week. I'm not here on Friday or Monday, and then I'll be back the following week. I can't even remember what I'm talking about on Wednesday, but I'll post it on my feed. Bye.